Good morning. Good morning. It's time to start our day. Everybody, take your big swigs of your water here. I'm not doing big swigs because it's hot water today. I love drinking hot water through the fall and winter months. A little lemon in it. Yum. E. So we're turning off our phones. And I'm really saying turn off those phones, turn off those apps, turn off those little notification bells, turn off Facebook. This is part of it. We've been talking over the last months about yoga poses are not the yoga. Yoga breathing, not the yoga. The yoga is the discipline, the actual turning the mind inward. That's the yoga practice. So that's what we want to be doing, really carving out this time. So let's head over to the mat today. Now, what we're going to be talking about today, as I just said a few minutes ago, let's let this camera get organized here. There we go. Um, we're going to keep a little bit of a continuous flow. One of the things I really like to remind folks about is different seasons require different ways of practicing. So in the summer months, we don't want to have a real hot, sweaty practice. It's too much heat, right? And as it gets colder outside, we don't want to have too much sitting in stillness. Our hands and feet get cold and then we start getting cranky. So we want to be balancing out nature with where we are. So this is gentle yoga. We will remain gentle, whether it's in our physical poses, but also in the way we just approach ourselves. So let's sit up nice and tall. We've got our blocks today. We've got our strap. I'm sitting on a little pillow here so that my hips are higher than my knees. And let's all find that comfortable position here. As I've been mentioning in our inner circle group this month, we're talking about decluttering. October is the month of decluttering, not just our physical pantries and closets, but some of us can declutter our habits and patterns, our mental patterns, our physical patterns. Where can you sort of trim things? What's excess? What can you let go of? So let's take a minute here and just sitting here, watching yourself breathe, just looking for those bare bones, cutting away, shedding, letting go of any thoughts that don't serve you right now. Anything on your to-do list for later or before that you were working on, just really coming into that present moment. So what is the best way to get a really nice inhale? It's to get a really nice exhale. So let's really focus on letting the exhales happen so that we can find that inhale. We have to let go to bring in. We have to let go to have the space to bring in. Start to find a rhythm in your breath that suits you this morning, an equal inhale and equal exhale. And starting to declutter any kind of physical stuff. Do you feel like you're uneven in your breathing? Do you feel heavy? Do you feel light? See if you can find that balancing of the breath as you start to move deeper into this meditative state. Let go to bring in. Let go to bring in. And now we're seeking a balanced rhythm. And as we continue for the next minute or two, what brings you to the yoga mat today? We know that it's hard to get here. We know that just showing up for yourself is often the most challenging part of self-care, just getting to the mat. And you're here, you did it. Why? What do you seek? Is it community? Is it presencing? Is it guidance or support? Is it communication with your deeper self? What do you need today? Take another minute here and let's settle in onto our mantra, that 1 or 2 word phrase that will really help you stay anchored. Find that 1 or 2 word phrase now. Really remind yourself a few times. And we'll bring our hands into prayer, thumbs against the heart. Feel the pads of the fingers pressing together. Feel the elbows spreading apart. The pads of the fingers pressing together and the elbows spreading apart. The tailbone dropping like an anchor on a boat. The crown of the head turning into the sky. Repeating that mantra. And when you're ready, gently drop the chin to your chest. Open your eyes, see those beautiful fingers, and then gently release the hands and looking forward. So neck and shoulders and the back. Let's just sit up nice and tall and just turn our head. Keep that rhythm of breath, equal inhale, equal exhale. What's it feel like to turn the head? We're not straining it, we're not forcing it, we're just letting it be. Three more. Just juicing it up, getting some oily spine. Who doesn't want some oily spine? Then we're going to take just the middle body now, just the middle body. Keep that chin in line with the sternum. And now we're just doing a little mini twist here in that middle body. You know, like a Rubik's Cube. Can you imagine like a Rubik's Cube, but in a spinal column sort of feeling, and how you're just twisting it? And the more you do it, the more loose it gets. That's all we're doing is just checking in. Keep that chin right over that sternum and breathe. Two more. Beautiful. Come back to center. Inhale, palms facing up. Reach up, reach up, reach up. Exhale, come out nice and wide here, palms facing forward. And now twist to the right. Take your left hand on that right leg and twisting around. Go ahead and gaze forward though. We really want to feel this just in the middle spine. Now, are you leaning? Can you lean back a little bit, sitting up nice and tall? See if you can breathe behind your shoulder blades. Breathe deeply. What brings you to the mat? Just keep anchoring that. How do you want to feel? Beautiful. Inhale, sweeping yourself back center. We're going to flip a root, take it to the other side. Again, are you sitting up nice and tall? Are you perpendicular to the floor, nice and tall, leaning into the back body, not just physically, but also into the breath? Breathe back there. That monkey in your mind wants to jump into the future. It wants to go in the past. Just keep bringing that guy right back, that monkey mind right back here, and pause. Starting to take your hands on your knees here. Let's just find some cat-cow here in our seated position. So we're just moving again, that middle spine, tailbone behind us, tailbone to floor, tailbone to heels. Tailbone to floor, tailbone to wall behind you, tailbone to floor, tailbone to heels. Feel that curve. Let's go 5 more times. Activating that deep Samavriti pattern, activating that Ujjayi if you're familiar with that breath pattern. Spread those shoulders away, pull those shoulders together. One more round, please. And pause. Good. We're going to drop the right ear to the right shoulder. I'm going to mirror you here. Long, healthy neck. Shoulders are level. So as I said, today we're going to have a continuous movement. So we call this vinyasa. It's when you're syncing up breath with movement. Sometimes we think of vinyasas as what we do during a really dynamic class, and that's what they are called. But vinyasa is when you're syncing up the breath and movement. So inhale, lift the head up, exhale, drop it to the other side. It's a very balancing way to practice, as I said, when things are a little chilly or a little unsettling. How's that feel on your neck? Keeping those shoulders level. One more deep breath. And beautiful, float it up. Excellent. Let's find our way to hands and knees. We're going to be having our blocks at the front of the mat in a little bit, so you might as well get those set up. Okay. And we're just going to have a spreading of the fingers, equal space between each and every finger, including the thumb. And we're going to just take the shoulders right over those wrists. Now, double check that your collarbones are really wide here. You're not scrunching up those hands so that the shoulders feel like they're too close. You want to have them nice and open, nice, expansive collarbones. Inhale, start to look up. And then exhale, start to reach that spine nice and tall. Inhale, sweep it up, looking forward. Exhale, cat-cow as wanted here. Keep going. Inhale. Can you feel how you're syncing up the breath with those movements? Two more. When you're ready now, push the thumb side of the hand down. Lift those knees, downward facing dog. Feel that right hand really pressing down that left foot as well, that diagonal line across the body. And then switch left hand, right foot, diagonal line really pressing across the body. 3 more deep breaths. Let this be your home base. Let this pose tell you everything you need to know about how you're showing up today. How's your breathing? How's your mind? Two more big breaths. And beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Bringing your knees down, down, down. and pause. Go ahead and get your blocks now on low level. And take your hands right on the blocks, right on those blocks. Again, spreading those fingers, equal space between each and every finger. Line the blocks up so they're about as wide as your mat. And then come into the tabletop position again. And now we're going to practice hanging on the arm bones and then floating up. Hanging on those arm bones and floating up. Another way to say it is have a real saggy chest and up. 8 to 10 more times. Calm and steady, just noticing the imbalance. If there's any asymmetry happening in your body where you're feeling one thing on one side, just keep noticing how you're showing up. 3 and 2 and 1. Now, if you want to, you could go to down dog from here with your hands on the blocks. If you don't want to do that, just go ahead and skip it. Where are your shoulder blades? Are they moving towards your spine, or do you like it when they roll away from the spine? Where do you feel like you get the most freedom for your neck? 2 more deep breaths. Beautiful. Very nice. Come on back down. Let's try something else. Take your right block away and come into this different level here. You've got one hand on a block, one hand on the mat, and do it again. Drop and reach, and drop and reach. So the one hand on the block, that elbow is probably bending, isn't it? Just notice. We're just noticing here. Exhale, 3 and 2 and 1. Good. Pressing up. Return both blocks and downward dog. Or you could move to a dynamic child's pose if you want, with those elbows straight. Let all that fresh blood come into your head. This downward dog pose, Adho Mukha Svanasana, is our home base. It tells us everything. It tells us how our back is doing. It tells us how our breath is flowing. It tells us what mind chatter we've got going on. It tells us where we're holding neck tension. Just notice 1 or 2 more deep breaths. Beautiful. Come on back down. Let's remove that left block, and we'll do it about 8 times again. Just that little hang on the arm bones and then float. Imagine that you're oiling your body. You're oiling those joints and those bones. You're getting everything nice and fluid, nice and supple. And in order to take in new, fresh nutrients, we have to let stuff go. So letting all the exhale go as you're bringing in 1 more. Good. Return that block again, finding a dynamic child's pose with the elbows straight, or again, maybe you're feeling pretty dynamic today. Up you go. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Pressing into that thumb side of the hand, long and healthy neck. Action begets action. So sometimes we get into those lazy days and they just seem to go on and on and on. Having these little boosts of energy create more energy. We start to bring ourselves into that right alignment. So when things get challenging, see if you can take another breath. 1 more deep breath. And gently, gently, gently come on down. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to take the blocks out of the way here. We'll need them in a moment. We're going to take our elbows down and we're going to slide our hips to the ground for Sphinx. So our elbows are right under our shoulders. Our palms are facing down. The thumbs are pushing down. And our pubic bone is pushing down. Now bring your attention to your heels. Are they pulling together? Are they pulling apart? So remember, when the heels are spreading apart, it's really opening for your lower back. And if that feels nice for you, stay there. Those of you working a little deeper today, curl those toes under and see if you can feel this action where the heels are pulling away from you, but the toes are pulling towards you. Let's go ahead and drop our head. We don't need the head right now. We're focusing on pushing the tailbone down towards the heels. We're anchoring the pubic bone against the floor, but we feel like we're trying to lift that belly button up. The toes are moving towards us, but the heels are moving away. It's so dynamic, in fact, that our kneecaps are actually off the mat. Bring your attention to the glutes, to your bottom. Are you clenched with all your might? Are you squeezing on one side more than the other? See if you can feel the toneness without the clenching. Start to drag your hips between your elbows. Keep pulling your heels away. And those of you working deeper, inner thighs are rolling up. Start to bring your head sitting right on top for Sphinx. 8 breaths. You're trying to find the balance between work and rest, between stability and ease. Two. And beautiful. Make a pillow with your arms and just rest. Okay, keeping your elbows where they are. Let's lift our left leg here. Toes are pointed behind us now, and our knee and thigh are up. So the entire leg is up with the knee straight. We're going to pulse it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and drop it like a heavy potato. Some of you will notice that you don't have much heavy potato in your leg. Right? We're looking for the heavy potato. We want to know that we can drop it. Switching sides now. Right leg. 10, 9. Point that toes. Kneecap is up. Thigh is up. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Drop it like that hot potato. Switching sides. We got 3 more rounds, or 2 more rounds. Left leg. 10, 9, 8. Keep knitting the belly lock together. 3, 2, drop. Switching legs. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 3, 2, 1, drop. One more round on both legs. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, hot potato. Switch. Keep that belly lit. 2, 1, and hot potato. Walking your feet wide now, maybe as wide as the mat. If this feels nice for you, do it. If it's too challenging, then go back to the earlier kicks. We're going to lift both legs up. The kneecaps are up. Tap the toes together. 1, 2, open, relax. Up, tap, tap, open, relax. Lift up, bring the toes together. Tap, tap, open, and release. 7 more. One more. And pause. Let go of the exhales. Take in the inhale. Two more big breaths. Beautiful. All right, taking your hands underneath your shoulders now. We're going to turn those toes under again. We're going to lift the kneecaps. Bhujangasana, Cobra. So slide those elbows together. Imagine you're at the top of a sledding hill and you're about to push off. Heels moving away, toes moving in. Lift up that heart. Keep the head aligned with the spine. We're not looking forward. We're looking down. And you're trying to see if you can get really long in the spine. 8 breaths. What can you do to make your spine longer? How can you use your hands and your toes and your heels to really lengthen? Two, and pause. All right, keeping our legs as wide as the mat on this one. We're going to curl our toes under again, and this time we're going to take our hands off the mat. If this doesn't feel nice for you, you can always go to the earlier level. But those of you who can, take your hands right off the mat and put those hands right underneath your shoulders. I'm sorry, your elbows. Hands under your elbows. Inhale, pressing the toes down, lift the kneecaps up. Lift your heart up as much as you want to. Inner thighs are rolling up. Exhale, come down. Again, 9, lift up and down. If it doesn't feel nice on the hands, you can always put those palms down. 7 and down. Longest spine you have. 6. Knees up, maybe. 5. And up. 4. 3. 2. Think about that spine of yours, holding up here as much as comfortable. Two more breaths. And slowly, slowly, slowly make a pillow with your arms and rest. Does that feel safe to you? Does it feel comfy? Do you like that? Does your body like that? Ask your spine how it's doing. If it enjoys it, tell your spine you're going to do it twice more. If it's not enjoying it, go to the earlier Sphinx. Look here and I'll show you. You can go to this pose where you're holding, or you can go to this Cobra pose where you're lifting for 5 breaths and then you're resting. Otherwise, we're going to do this technique again, 2 more rounds of 10. However high you want to go up. Inhale and down. Make sure those heels are wide or your toes are curled under. And as we continue working here, what are we doing and why? What is happening to the skeleton here? Are you gripping with all your might through your glutes? See if you can really turn those inner thighs to the ceiling. 2 more. On this last one, you can hold up for 5 breaths or take a break, whatever feels better for you. Scraping that belly button back off the mat, pushing that pubic bone down on the mat. And everybody now take a pause. How's your spine? What is it you need? Again, you could go back to those swimmer kicks. You could go back to your low cobra. You could go to your elbows down sphinx, or final time. Here we go, 10 times. You could play with the way the breath is doing. What would it mean to lift up on the exhale versus the inhale? Just play. This mat and you, this yoga mat, always there for you to play. It's like your own personal timeout room. 2. Don't you leave that yoga mat. Don't you leave that yoga mat. 1 more. Some of you will come down. Some of you will just hold here. 3, 2. Beautiful. Sliding your hands underneath your shoulders now. We're going to press up here into tabletop. Now, we did this last week, and I just want to remind us about it. We're going to make it, again, if it doesn't suit you, then you're going to do an earlier level. But let me show you where we're headed. You're going to have a pillow at the front, and you're going to have 2 blocks on the high level. Maybe 1 is appropriate for you. I'm going to do 2 because that's what we taught last week. We're coming into pigeon pose. So pigeon is we'll take our left leg forward here. See, we have this left leg forward. Some of us will bring our other leg down. Some of us can start tracking here on that pelvis. So you're taking that thigh to the block and then maybe coming down. It's a really nice way to practice this back bend. If you don't need the pillow in the front, you can bring your elbows down, go ahead. Some of you can even bend that knee. Okay, so you've got many variations here. You could take just typical pigeon, classic pigeon with that thigh down, 1 block or 2 block. Depending upon your level, maybe you're in a dynamic pigeon here, or maybe you're in a relaxing pigeon. Whatever you need. Now, what we're focusing on again is imagine that your belly is still pressing on the mat. You've got that pubic bone pulling to the mat, but you're trying to pull that belly button up. Imagine your back bend is happening right from the top of your pelvis. You're pulling those muscles up. Tipping the top rim of the pelvis to the ceiling. Three more big breaths. Okay, now here comes a fancy move. Who's ready for the fancy move? We are, everybody. Okay, now, if you're in the pose that I'm in, you're going to roll off and just sit down on your bottom, and you're just going to keep this alignment. Okay? Our left knee is bent. We can have a block underneath there if we want to. Sitting up nice and tall here. We're going to go back to how we started with these little twists. So let's first take our gaze and look to the left knee and then back to center. Left and center, left and center. Two more, left and center. Just the head, left and center. Now the middle body, left and center, left and center. Two. Beautiful. Now keep looking to the left here. Don't worry about this right leg at all. Keep looking to the left. See if you can turn your whole sternum, your whole chest bone to this left leg, and then allowing this hip to lift up. Let yourself go over here. Some of you can use your blocks here and really reach through that right arm. Maybe you're not feeling flexible. Maybe your leg is propped up like this. You're just working on the twist, okay? Got 8 more breaths. Deep, deep breaths. Beautiful. When you feel ready to come out of that, keep the twist happening. Bring both sits bones down again. Keep this twist happening, bringing a block with you. You're looking at that left knee. Keep looking at that left knee, and we're going to drop our elbow on this block. Most of us will have to have that block up high, right by the inner knee, and we're just going to rest our head into the hand, allowing that left rib cage to drop and that right rib cage to lift up. Allowing yourself just to notice what's happening here. Why are we doing this? Now, are you having a big rainbow expression in this left rib cage? Keep dropping the left rib cage to that left leg and keep reaching that right rib cage to the right toes. 5 more breaths. Two more deep breaths. So nice. And come on up. Pause. Bring both knees to bend, Baddha Konasana. Maybe you'll have both blocks here. Anchoring both sits bones, level pelvis, level shoulders. Big inhale, reach up. Exhale, using these down dog arms. Take yourself through, or you could put your elbows down. You could put your head down, whatever you're needing to do here. And enjoy 8 breaths. Where can you shed? What parts of this is not working? What do you need to let go of? What can you bring more in of? Two more deep breaths. And let's switch sides. Move into the other side for pigeon. So take your pillow. This time we're going to have our right leg on the blocks. So you decide what's right for you. You could take your right leg out like this and come onto the ground, or working a little bit deeper in those backs here, go ahead and put the top of the thigh right at the top of the thigh there. That's really encouraging a nice integrity in that working of the back bend. We're working this back bend. Again, some of you may want to find that leg bending and you're really trying to learn to tilt the front of the pelvis to the ceiling. Some of you might be coming down to your elbows. Whatever you want to do here for 8 breaths, but you're feeling this idea that you're pushing the pubic bone towards the floor, but you're trying to lift the lower belly muscles up to the sky. Especially if you're doing a lot of sitting. One more deep breath. Here comes fancy move. Not as fancy because you know it's coming, but we're just going to drop ourselves down if that's comfortable. If not, you'll have to vary how you do it. And we're going to come and sit in this position here with our right knee bent and our left leg just doing its thing. So let's turn the sternum towards this bent knee. Really turn it. Let this leg do whatever it wants to. We're going to walk our down dog arms up. And yeah, this hip does lift up. Really reaching those left fingertips away from yourself here and stretch through that lateral line. Finding freedom in the shoulders. Wrap those armpits around towards the rib cage. Let that neck be free. Use those powerful exhales. And when you're ready, please walk yourself up. There's no rush. If you feel like you want to take a couple more breaths, make it happen. And then walking yourself up here. Keep twisting to this right leg. Take the block between your inner knee. Right there, you could stack it up. Most of us are on the high level and really find that twisting to the right knee, twisting to the right knee, and then bringing that left elbow down. Again, dropping that right rib cage to the hip there and then reaching that left rib cage to the left toes. 12 breaths. Let your head relax. Let yourself have a little break of that holding that neck and shoulder tension. Let yourself rest. How's this feel to you? 2 more big breaths. Beautiful. Slowly, when it's time for you to come up. Now, I can imagine that some folks out there, maybe here today, maybe in the recording, it feels scary to go inside and do some of those twists or some of those real deep poses. It feels truly scary to be going in like that. Go ahead and take your blocks out. We're going to go back to this Baddha Konasana, long, healthy spine. Exhale, tilting over. I definitely remember feeling that when I first started doing yoga. It felt scary to go and stretch. I was afraid of hurting myself. I was afraid of sitting quiet. I was afraid of many, many things. And so if you're feeling that way and you hold yourself back, if you're afraid of letting yourself take a deep breath in these deeper poses, then that's the yoga you're noticing. You're noticing in your self-study that you have resistance, that you're holding yourself back. And that's the work, is just to see yourself clearly. It is not to do these deep bends. It is not to um, have a Samavriti pattern in your breath. It's not these techniques. Yoga, true yoga, is about disciplining yourself to get to self-study. I'm going to say that again. Yoga, true yoga, is about disciplining yourself to get into self-study. The path of yoga is to know yourself. And so we have these poses, we have these techniques, we have these cues, we have these ways of practicing. But the whole point is so that you get to know yourself and I get to know myself. And when we are knowing ourselves, there's a lot more love and compassion and forgiveness and acceptance and joy and connection between us. So if you're finding that you resist or that you're afraid or that you're resentful or that you're negative, that's the clutter. Unnecessary. Just clip it out like you're weeding a plant. Just pull those weeds out and come back to I'm here and I'm learning about myself. And today's better than yesterday. I can go a little further. My breaths are a little longer. I'm a beginner. Or today I'm finding myself sleepy. 2 more breaths. And gently, 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 gently come on up. And let's just pause. What do you notice right now? 8 breaths. Beautiful. All right, we're heading towards the end, but I want to do one more thing before we slow down. Okay, so I want us to come into Virasana. Let's come into Virasana, where we're sitting between our ankles, spread those calves apart. And I got my blocks here, my 1 or my 2 blocks, whatever's comfortable, and I'm between my ankles. If you find that you're turning your foot out like this, please don't do that, okay? We really want to make sure that those toes are pointing it back. Why? I want to stop for a moment and just have you pause. Why do we want those toes facing back? I'm going to tell you the answer, but I want you to ponder it first. So we're sitting on our ankles and our toes are pointing directly back, and we're spreading our toenails. And why do we want to do that instead of turning that foot out? Take about 3 breaths and see if you can figure it out. Good. And the reason is because of the knees. We always and forever want the shin bone and the femur bone to line up. These have to line up. And if I turn my foot, I'm turning my shin, and then my knee goes out of whack. So the toe and ankle alignment is like the pulley system for that kneecap. So that's what we want to have. All right, here's some heat. Y'all ready? Get comfy. You can let those knees splay open if you want to. Deep breaths. We're going to take our other block. We're going to put our hands on the sides here and really pushing through the pinky sides. Now feel your shoulder blades moving away from the spine. Slide them in. Here we go. Squeeze that block and breathe. It's going to be about 15 breaths. I'm not going to lie to you. And what I want you to do as we stop talking is I want you to notice what you think about. Okay, here we go. Take it up to the forehead. All the way to the ceiling. Squeeze those pinky fingers together. Back to the forehead. Final round here, right at the chest again. Are you smiling? 3 and 4 and 5. Good, 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 good. Oh, yeah. Anything you want to do for your neck, roll your shoulders, take a moment to feel what you need to feel. And then our last pose before we settle in, we're going to take restorative Shalabhasana. So you can either stand your blocks up. We're bringing the top of the shoulder here. So not down by the arm, but the top of the shoulder. And that's where we're going to hang. Some of you probably would like it medium level. I like top level. The heads of my arms. I'm going to bring my belly back down to the floor. Hands down by your sides and just let that head rest. About 3 or 4 more breaths. Take your time, all the time you need. And when you are ready, I want you to roll over and let us find the last pose, which we're going to take however you want. If you need to have neck and shoulder opening, you could do that with like a fish pose. But for me today, I'm going to just suggest that we take our back with our knees bent and a strap around the shins. So we're not taking the legs all the way out. We did a lot of back bending today, so I want to counter some of that. So you could take it around the thighs too if you want. I like it right below the knees, hip distance apart. You could take your arms up and over the head. You could take them out to the sides. You could put something underneath your head for a little bit of a pillow. You're just looking for a neutral line. So making your way there now, and just take your fingertips and just raindrop around the muscles of your eyes. You could do your hairline, around the temples, around the sinuses. As I said, a lot of people have allergy stuff going on. Just tapping around. If you find an area that feels sensitive, maybe you'll hit there a little bit longer. One thing I also want to say here as we're closing up our class is sometimes, and I'm just giving an offer, if inviting you to do it if it feels good. But sometimes we think of ourselves as very vulnerable, very gentle and fragile. And I like to think of myself as robust, even though I'm, vulnerable and fragile. Sometimes I like to think of the way that I touch myself is I'm moving the energy around. So I don't want to be too light. Sometimes I want to move energy. I want to move the energy around, right? Like kneading the dough. You can't be too gentle. So depending upon how you're feeling today, maybe it's a little softer than what I'm encouraging, maybe not. So funny, I do this to my kids. I'll just start clapping on their backs. I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? It's like, I'm moving your energy. I'm squishing your pancakes. So just having that time to really move those muscles and tug and knit and knee, just really moving stuff around. Really nice, really nice. And if you're always doing it gently, I'm encouraging you to just be a little bit more rough in some of these areas, right? We're really digging in there, moving that stuff around. All right, finding your way now to that moving into stillness. Allow the back of the head to just open and spread, letting all your thinking go away. Letting the back muscles move and open and spread out like butter in a skillet. The hips, letting the knees open up into that strap. And here again, the yoga is the self-study. And the job here in this final pose is to not move. Remember, when we don't physically move, then that mind chatter, boy, does it move. It's a wonderful opportunity for you to see the clutter that you have floating around in that brain. And instead of getting distracted by it or following those narratives, you're going to give your chattering mind a focus, and that's let go, spread out, relax, or just simply watch yourself breathe. On Wednesday, we'll dive into this a little bit bigger for those of you returning. As always, thank you so much for keeping your light on. Your keeping yourself lit really matters. It matters. So thank you for showing up. Deep, deep bows to you all. All my love and namaste.